You know, some people will do just about anything to live longer and healthier. I mean, we're talking about everything from injecting young bone marrow to swapping plasma with their own son. But what if one of the most powerful anti-aging therapies isn't hidden away in some high-tech lab, but in a simple hotbox? Today, we're going to get into the story of one man's wild 90-day quest to understand the ancient power of the sauna. So let's just start with the big question, right? The one that kicked this whole thing off. Could 20 minutes sweating it out in a hotbox actually be a secret to a longer life? I mean, is it just a nice way to relax? Or could it be the key to dramatically lowering your chances of dying from, well, from anything? And this brings us to our guy, Brian Johnson. His entire life is basically one giant health experiment. But you know, for all his crazy protocols, the one thing he hadn't tried was the sauna. He was, a little skeptical. He thought, do I really need this? Don't I get all the benefits from my intense workouts already? Now, he knew all about the incredible data coming out of Finland, which is basically the home of the sauna. But there were some big question marks, like, were these amazing benefits just for people with Finnish genes? Folks who have been doing this for centuries? And did you have to do that traditional icy cold plunge to get the magic to work? All that uncertainty, it just kept the sauna on the back burner for him. But this is the number that he just could not ignore. The studies from Finland found that people who use the sauna frequently had a 40% lower risk of dying from any cause. Let me put that in perspective for you. That is a bigger effect than most of the data we have for exercise or diet. We're talking about an impact on par with quitting smoking. Just wow. And that right there was the final push he needed. His own doctor, Dr. Mike Mullen, basically said, look, this is non-negotiable. The potential upside here is just way too big to pass up. And with that, the experiment was officially on. Okay, so let's be clear. This was not going to be some relaxing spa retreat. Oh no. Brian's team went straight for the most extreme data they could find and designed a protocol that would push his body to its absolute limit right from day one. He was literally about to walk into the fire. So here was the challenge. 200 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 93 Celsius for a full 20 minutes, and not just once in a while. Every single day. I mean, at that temperature, an egg white would literally cook solid. This was a serious biological stress test, and that reality hit him hard. He said the air was so hot, it felt like it was burning his nostrils with every single breath he took. He actually had to invent a special breathing technique, like a 4-second inhale, 6-second exhale, just to be able to stand it. From the very first minute, this was a battle. Then just a few days in, disaster struck. He started waking up in the middle of the night with these just excruciating cramps in his legs, so painful he'd literally have to leap out of bed. The protocol seemed to be working during the day, but it was absolutely destroying his sleep and his recovery. The entire experiment was right on the verge of collapse. So he gets on a call with his science team and they figure it out. A simple skin patch test confirmed it. Brian was a salty sweater. In every single one of those 20-minute sessions, he was losing a massive amount of sweat, and with it all these critical minerals like sodium. He was drinking plenty of water, but he was accidentally creating this severe electrolyte imbalance. So once they figured out the electrolyte problem, he was able to push through. And after just 1 week, the first round of data came in. And this, my friends, is where the story takes a really dramatic turn. All that pain, all that struggle, it was about to pay off in ways he never, ever imagined. This was the first number that just completely blew them away. After only 7 sessions, the pressure on his heart, his brain, all his major organs, what's called his central systolic blood pressure, it had dropped by nearly 6%. That is huge. So it turns out that fire-breathing dragon in the room was actually giving his entire cardiovascular system a workout. See, that intense heat forces your blood vessels to expand. It's a process called vasodilation. It's like sending your arteries to the gym, making them more flexible and taking a huge load off your heart. It was basically physical therapy for his veins. And then came a result that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming. Brian had been dealing with high levels of certain toxins from past wildfire exposure, so after 21 sauna sessions, they retested him. And the result was just staggering. Several of those toxins went from being abnormally high to completely undetectable. It just goes to show you, sweating isn't just about cooling off. It is one of the most powerful detox tools our bodies have. But you know how these stories go. Just as one problem gets solved, a new and, shall we say, more sensitive one emerged. The very same heat that was healing his arteries and clearing out toxins was now posing a direct threat to another really vital biological system. Yep, you heard that right. The team's research was pretty clear. Temperatures this high could do some serious damage to sperm production. See, human testes have to stay a few degrees cooler than the rest of the body to work right. A 200-degree sauna was, to put it bluntly, a pretty high-risk environment, so they had to engineer a pretty unique solution. Using a bunch of ice packs from his freezer, Brian created what you can only really describe as an ice diaper. I know, it sounds a little absurd, but it was a makeshift solution to a very real, very serious scientific problem. And here is where the story just gets absolutely wild. After 21 days of doing the daily sauna with the ice pack, they tested his fertility markers again, and they hadn't just prevented damage, his numbers had actually improved by 31%. They were the best levels he had ever recorded in his life. So this raised a huge question. Was it the sauna causing the improvement? Was it the ice? Or was it the combination of the two? To find out, they designed one last, kind of risky experiment. For 2 weeks, he would keep doing the sauna protocol, but this time with no ice pack. He was, quite literally, cooking his boys for science. The results were immediate, and honestly, they were devastating. Without the ice, his fertility markers absolutely plummeted by 50%. This side-by-side comparison tells you everything you need to know. It was a powerful, if pretty painful, lesson. For men using a sauna, cooling is not optional. He basically turned himself into a cautionary tale. But the good news, oh man, the good news was incredible. By the end of the full 90 days, the flexibility of his arteries had improved so much that they had the markers of a healthy 20-year-old. The protocol had effectively de-aged his entire vascular system by a full decade. So after all the fire, the cramps, and yes, the ice diapers, what's the takeaway for all of us? Well, Brian's journey created a really clear, actionable blueprint for anyone who wants to tap into the power of the sauna, but do it safely and effectively. So, let's break that down. All right, here's the formula based on all the data. You want to aim for about 3 to 5 sessions every week. Each one should last between 15 and 20 minutes, and the temperature sweet spot seems to be between 175 and 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And for what it's worth, a dry finish style sauna is the one that's been used in the most reliable studies. And finally, safety is everything. Seriously, you've got to replenish with electrolytes, not just plain water. For the men out there, you absolutely must keep things cool down there. Use natural materials like cotton towels, not synthetics that can release chemicals in the heat. And always shower right after to wash off any of those toxins you just worked so hard to sweat out. Because this isn't just about enduring the heat, it's about coming out the other side stronger, cleaner, and hey, maybe even a little bit younger. If this story touched you, like, subscribe, and stay with us for more stories that inspire change.